How you doing, Teresa?
All right. Yeah, it's the hottest day of the year here, so it's very, very hot.
Oh wow. Where are you again? Remind me.
I live in Estonia. It's in Northern Europe.
Got it. Right. Hottest day of the year. What's the temperature?
It's 35 degrees Celsius.
Do you know that in Fahrenheit? What that
No,
is?
sorry.
It's hot.
But it's hot and sweaty and uncomfortable.
Well, hopefully this doesn't overwhelm you too much, and so that you overheat.
It's just
But
one day of the year, so I will be fine. Yeah, thanks.
yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for hopping on, and I'm excited that we're able to do this. I know it's been a long time making and trying to just get this live on the calendar, and I'm excited to have this conversation. Um, you you're somebody that I've always found very interesting in terms of how you explore the dream world in context of self-discovery and transformation on the spiritual journey. And uh, for those who are tuning in, Theresa is an Awakenpedia member, and she offers one-on-one dream coaching sessions, as well as a variety of dream-related online offerings and services that I encourage everybody to go check out. The dream world is, in my mind, one of the most underserved, underrated portals that we have available to us to be able to access the transcendent dimension. And I don't want to talk about this too much because I'm not the expert here. You are. And I want to hear from you just everything and anything about dreams, that's related to spirituality, your personal journey. And then also, I'd like to talk about lucid dreaming in the context of how that parallels to spiritual awakening and the similarities, how similar they are in terms of, the aspect of becoming conscious in an unconscious environment. So
Yeah,
anyway,
thanks.
my introduction and welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for inviting me here. So, yes, the dreams are really, really interesting and they are really fascinating, and there's lots to talk about. But before I came here today, then I felt like there's something that really needs to be talked about, and it's the purpose. Like, why are we here? Like, why are we on planet Earth? And and this personally has been inspiring me to write my dreams down, which I've been doing for the past almost 20 years now. Like, not every day, but every other day I just remember the dream and then I write it down. And so basically everybody comes here with some form of mission. And I think often people think that this mission that we came to this planet, into this body for, is something that is really like, it needs to be really big. I want to be a queen, or I want to be like a really special person. But I think I find it often that um, for lots of people, this purpose can be something that's rather very simple. Like, some people just come here to experience to be loved, for example, or they just come here for like a certain experience of certain feeling, like throughout their whole life. And this is something that's already like very, very important. And I think where the dreams come in is that our dreams can help us to guide, to find that purpose. And it's a journey.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Yeah, I want to dive into all of this, and maybe Teresa, we could start. Just, I think it would be wonderful to, you know, for you to share a bit of your personal story and how dreams have shaped your experience, your earthly experience here, have helped you to find your own purpose in that way, and how they have guided your journey of self-discovery in the context of spirituality, in the context of truth. Maybe can you share a bit about that?
Yes, so I grew up in post-Soviet Estonia. That was a rather stressful place to lots of people to live in at the time in the 90s.
Mm.
So my parents had lots of generational trauma to deal with. And I was growing up in a very like confusing environment sometimes where I moved around a lot. I moved from one place to another. So I wasn't always like sure why am I here or what am I doing as a child. I felt like I'm kind of like not really having a childhood. So at some point I started having these dreams that were really, really inspiring for me because they were something like so different from my everyday reality. And I wanted more, you know, because they were positive experiences. I saw really beautiful landscapes and I was like flying and doing things that in my normal life I would have never been able to do. And then when I was 11 years old, I started writing them down. And then I realized that the more I write them down, the more I actually remember them. And then I can make this process much longer. So the pleasure of being somewhere else actually lasts longer. And then I realized that actually I can control them as well as lucid dreams became known to me. And the whole journey, it was really, really inspiring for me. And then I realized later that it was a coping mechanism. It was just a coping mechanism to deal with the traumatic events, which at the time, you know, I had no other choice. And I was really glad that I had this ability, because probably otherwise I wouldn't be here, because I would not be able to deal with this stuff. And then I started to paint and draw, and I'm also an artist. So these images that were there, they were so inspiring that I really wanted to show them to others. And I found that art and creativity was the form that I could use to like bring them into this physical reality, so they would actually like have an impact.
Wow, fascinating. Yeah, and I think, you know, it's so interesting how so often in life, the forms of escapism that we're drawn to augment our experience end up becoming the portals through which we discover who we really are. For you, you know, you talk about the coping mechanism that dreaming served to help you live the life that was a more pleasurable experience than, you know, the post-Soviet era life that you were living in this physical reality. For me, it was substances and addiction that was my pathway, and or my coping mechanism that ultimately was the pathway that led to self-realization. So I'd love to know for you, you know, in context of dreaming and dream exploration, how is it that ultimately transformed from escapist coping mechanism into self-discovery? You know what I mean? That process of where it became something that was a form of just serving you as an escape into something that became much deeper.
I think it was actually one dream that basically transformed me, which I saw when I was traveling, when I was I think I was about 15 or 16. And in this dream, I saw myself flying above my childhood home. I used to live on an island, so I saw the island and I saw the home. And then I realized that I can actually control this, and I can like fly, and I can go exactly where I want to go. So this, with this dream, I realized that I can actually choose everything, and I can control everything, and I can choose my path. If I want to take a certain path, I can, like, you know, just fly this direction or fly that direction. And then I discovered lucid dreaming, and then I was like, wow, like this is really cool and this is really amazing. And then yeah, I think this was the breaking point for me.
Yeah, yeah. And lucid dreaming is, I think, if you listen to a lot of spiritual teachers, many often reference lucid dreaming as a parallel experience to what spiritual awakening is in this life here. Because often, you know, that famous expression, life is but a dream, the idea is that you waking up in your physical dream when you're physically sleeping to become lucid dreaming, so that you're conscious in the subconscious, essentially, that you become conscious in your dream, is in many respects what is happening here through awakening and the awakening consciousness and spiritual awakening, when we're waking up in the dream that is life and becoming lucid while living, lucid living instead of lucid dreaming. But they're very parallel, you know, and being able to essentially control the dream from a spiritual awakening perspective is the essence of manifestation. Being able to understand the way in which the dream operates so that you can harness universal law to manipulate energy that ultimately alters your physical reality, right? Just as how you, and I'm not saying that means we can go fly right now, absolutely not. But I am saying that there is, by awakening in the dream we call life, we come into the power to be able to be a true co-creator, so that you can actually design your physical life and create it with the higher power, with divine intelligence, partnering with the divine intelligence, similar to when you're actually dreaming physically and waking up in the dream and then being able to make conscious decisions that allow you to fly or bring some type of, go into some type of physical environment, whatever it is you choose, right? So I'm curious to get your take on that, Teresa, in terms of how you have experienced lucid dreaming and how that, you know, perhaps has facilitated at all your spiritual awakening here on, you know, here on Earth in the physical sense perceived world.
Yes, that was an interesting question. There have been very interesting dreams that I've had, especially during really, really difficult times when I haven't probably had enough sleep. I don't even believe that I can have any dreams because I haven't had enough sleep. And then I have had these really, really amazing and uplifting dreams, even with really, really short sleep. I mean, everybody who has small children, they know that, you know, you don't get much sleep. And if you don't get much sleep, then you don't have any dreams. So even with this short time, like a few times I've had dreams that have been like really, really positive, and I've seen myself, possibly my future self, doing something that I don't yet believe that I can do. But then in the dream, I'm reminded that I'm totally capable of this. And this is something that's, you know, changed my my whole perception. And then I just come back to myself and to my body, and I believe in myself again. And I believe that I am capable of achieving this, what I saw in this dream. If I just stay more in my body and I stay more like focused. But yeah, even during the most difficult times, there is always light there.
Yep, absolutely. That's amazing to hear. It's like, because it points to the idea of how you can harness, bring in those principles and the self-confidence that you experience in through lucid dreaming back into this world, that, you know, anything really is possible. You can, and it allows you to instill that sense of competency and confidence that you can do anything. And in a world, a universe of infinite potential, of course you can, right? And in many ways, perhaps we already are in parallel universes not to go down that road, but again, you know, just the idea of waking up in a dream parallels from lucid dreaming into spiritual awakening so beautifully, that I encourage everybody to just entertain the idea that there is some type of deep, deep, unexplored connection here between lucid dreaming and spiritual awakening. And of course, you know, when we wake up spiritually speaking, awakening in this world, right, in this dimension, we're waking out of the dream of the ego into perhaps the dream of the universal mind itself, which is a whole nother thing that is so fascinating to consider, which is that once you wake up from your personal dream, you now enter the dream of the universe itself, which is what allows you to so intimately and powerfully co-create, because now you're actually in connection with the universe. You can see and feel and work in tandem with the universe because you've established that connection by waking up to it. So Teresa, maybe what would be really helpful too, because you know, I know you've been an expert in the dream world for the past couple of decades, and you live this. This is your personal journey. I'd love to just hear a bit more as well about the services you offer in terms of your online work. And, you know, this is something, by the way, that I mentioned in the beginning, that Therese, as a member of Awakenpedia, she offers this to the community too, and will continue to as we continue to grow. And so she's the face of Dreamwork, dream interpretation, and how that can serve the awakening journey, for Awakenpedia and beyond. But I would love to hear, you know, from your mouth, what you do, what these coaching sessions entail, you know, what really the intent and the aim of your work is for people.
So yes, thanks for asking. So basically, it's a very individual journey, and I can offer one-to-one sessions where we just dive deep into your personal journey. And sometimes, if you look on my page, Watch Your Own Dreams, then I do dream circles and the shared dream circle gathering. This can be very, very interesting as well, as an experience. So keep your eye on there. But what can Dreamwork do? It sounds a bit dreamy, but it's actually quite serious work. So basically, when you have an individual session with somebody, then I can help somebody to find out what are the blockages in their lives that are blocking their like vital flow, basically, and how this can be found out is through dreams. Basically, dreams are like messages. They want us to be well and in balance, and the dreams that come, they can show us like what's there, what you need to focus on, and how can one start to like observe these things is to learn some really simple techniques, and then you got these keys. Basically, these dreams are the keys, because I can see after people are just running around and they go to different people and they just try to get balanced, but they don't know what the cause is. Even the best kind of like healers and therapists and doctors in the world, they can't help you if you don't know yourself what the reason is. So I'm not like healing everybody. I'm just like guiding you to get to the place where you can like ask people for help, because if you don't know what's going on, then nobody knows.
Wow. So you help people, and this intuitively makes so much sense to me, being connected in this way, how you help people navigate their subconscious, essentially, and you take them through this intimate experience to help them understand, the messaging that comes from them through the subconscious, through the subconscious in the form of dreams, as to say, where am I being energetically blocked? Where am I, the light that I am, where is that being blocked, and how, in which ways am I essentially carrying ego, which is preventing me from realizing who I really am and being my best, most full conscious self, right? That's the way I am interpreting your interpretation of Dreamwork and what you're offering here in this way.
Yes, yes. And I actually, I just want to share a really, really simple practice with you, which is just before you go to bed, you can like observe this state that's between waking and sleeping. That's called hypnagogic state. And in this state, you're like floating backwards and forwards from sleeping and dreaming. And if you just try to stay in there and just observe what's going on, then this can help you to be more lucid in your dreams as well, because you're there, you are in this like really, really creative state, and you're also in your logical mind. And there needs to be this balance basically where you're just floating. And it's really simple. Everybody can do this. One thing which I suggest is to just try to like have less screen time before you go to bed, because otherwise it's just, you might start seeing this conversation here if you just watch this before going to bed. So it might not be that bad, but you want to see more of like you, what's actually coming from inside of you, rather than all these things that happen to you during the day.
Right. Yeah, that's really interesting. And one thing I also have heard, and would love to get your opinion on this too, Teresa, is like, for example, like I have a tattoo on my arm here. You can't see it. It says "now" on it. It doesn't probably see that way from your
It's
screen,
the other way around, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I've heard that, if you continue to build the practice of observing in your conscious awake state the tattoo or some marking you have on you, and you repeatedly do that, observing what it is, right? It's unchanging in this state. It stays as it is. But in the dream state, when you observe that, because you built the habit of looking at your marking that you put, a tattoo or otherwise, it may shift or change shape in the dream, which is what allows you to immediately recognize that you're in a dream, so that you can wake up in the dream, which is what brings you into the lucid state. Is that something that you've done in the past that you recommend? Is it a good tactic that you've seen to be effective?
Well, yes, I like the idea that you have something on you and you actually got it tattooed on you. That's really a good idea. I'm a spiritual minimalist. I try to have as less gadgets as I like possibly can, because firstly I just lose them or they break, or I've traveled a lot, so it doesn't make sense to carry them with me. So you could have something in your imagination that you like know, like for example, you have a really nice area in your home and you can like carry this kind of image with you, or an image of a really nice flower or something that's really like tied to you, basically something you really like. And then in your dream you can like have this as your mark. It's like, oh, I remember that I'm in a dream.
Right.
It could be a physical thing as well that's just next to your bed, but if you can't, then it's fine to have just something that you create in your mind.
Well, in that movie Inception, I presume you've seen this, but I don't know. If you haven't, Theresa, it's the movie made for you. And in the movie, they have this little emblem that they spin, that if they're in a dream, it doesn't fall. It just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning indefinitely. And that's how, the actor Leonardo DiCaprio, he knew that he was in a dream. And we have this, it's so fascinating to consider having dreams inside dreams, and bringing that type of concept into the experience we are having here as human beings, right? That's that's why I keep coming back to this, because of how fascinating I find it in context of spiritual awakening, and the idea of lucid dreaming as waking up, spiritual awakening, and the parallels. So let me ask you one other thing too. Something I've considered, because what I'm talking about, and I'm passionate about this in terms of the parallels between lucid dreaming, dream work, and bringing that into facilitating our spiritual awakening in this dimension. Why don't you think more people are aware of the power of dreams? Why isn't this a more widely discussed topic that's more mainstream within the spiritual awakening community, and just in general in terms of therapeutic techniques and trying to treat and approach mental illness, perhaps addiction, work? Because all of these habits live in the subconscious, right? And this is what drives our behavior and drives how we experience and live our lives, and the interpretations we have in our waking life. So what do you think it is? Why isn't it, as big of a topic, and what do we have to do to help educate people to understand the power of dreams?
I think one reason is probably that it's considered to be something that's really, really vague, because people can interpret their dreams in so many different ways, because it depends on, how they perceive things. So it can't always be like one-to-one. They used to have these, I don't know if you've seen these books, you've got this word, like if you see a tree in your dream and this is what it means, it used to be like really dogmatic. But this, it doesn't work. It cannot be a dictionary. You can't make something very, very rigid out of it. So I think people might have hard times just to understand what it is, basically. But I think it's something that people might be able to perceive with more logical mind if they just start recording them, and then recording them over a longer period of time, and then you've got tons of data and you can analyze it with your logical mind. And if for a year you have had a recurring dream of one certain thing, then you can come up with some conclusions, like why you see this one thing all over again. So I think it's the time. You need to just invest more time into it, and then things start to emerge from these patterns of unconscious.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like anything in life, we give life to what we give our attention to, and we simply need to start paying attention more to our dreams if we want to really unlock the power and magic that they hold for us in terms of the healing journey and the unlearning journey, that we all are doing here as we head back home. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And also, I meant to comment on this when you brought it up, but I want to make sure I hear more about what dream circles are. And you mentioned that. Can you share just a bit more about what a dream circle actually is in terms of your offering?
So a dream circle is I've done them offline as well. Offline is slightly different than online, but it's still, the idea is still the same. Just people come into the circle, and we do some exercises, some creative exercises, and some lucid dreaming exercises and dream recall exercises. And actually, especially interesting is when there is a dream circle that is, the same people come together in an intimate group and over a long period of time. And then it's interesting how people might start having similar dreams, or they might start having dream meetings or be in similar places. So yes, and people like to share These are the things that nobody usually ever talks about. People don't even talk about their dreams with their partners, you know, because they are something that's considered so weird.
Yeah. 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 I know. Well, you know, I think we're in a really amazing time of existence in terms of our species as we are entering a new paradigm where all of this is becoming more widely accepted and adopted into mainstream practices in terms of how we are viewing, diagnosing, treating all of the afflictions that we carry, as well as how we experience life and just how we can better understand existence and what it means to be alive and the entirety of the spectrum of what being alive embodies, which is so inclusive, predominantly inclusive of sleep and dreams that has yet to ever really been fully explored. You know, I've always thought that we sleep 26 years of our life and we don't know what's really going on. A third of our life is asleep, and it's so under-tapped, underserved. So I think the work you do, Teresa, is not only brilliant, but so necessary to really understand what it means to be here. I think it is one of the most fundamental portals to source, to God, to truth. One that we know so little about, even less than we know about space or anything. You know, it is an area that we need to invest in to get a better understanding of life.
I can't talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just go, please? Okay. Sorry, with my daughter. My daughter wanted to be in camera.
That's okay. If she wants to say hi, we can. The more, the merrier.
Yeah, she's fine now.
So, you know, I'm affirming what you do here, Therese, and why I wanted, you know, I was so eager to help you and want to spread your message, spread your offerings, the work you do, and bringing you into Awakenpedia and offering this to the community is because I fundamentally really do believe how important this is. And so few providers out there that actually focus on this in a full-time way and have been doing it for as long as you. So, you know, I think maybe we'll spend a few more minutes here and wrap up, but I just do want to reiterate to everyone who's tuned in, who's listening, to check out Theresa's work. She has, I believe in your Insta bio, you have a link tree with all of your various options and offerings. Even if you're just, you know, curious, check it out. I think that this is in many ways the future for us. And Theresa is one of the early pioneers of this space. So that's what I'll say. But Theresa, anything in your mind that you want to leave us with? Parting words, parting wisdom, insight about dreams? Anything?
There is a dream that pops to my mind that so basically before I went to bed, I asked a question. I asked, what is happiness? And I did it a few times, and I got the exact same message and the exact same image came up. After the third time, I gave up. I didn't ask anymore because the message was so clear. So basically, I was there, and I was cycling on a gravel road, and I was just there with my family and friends, and we were all like happy, but like in a balanced way, not like euphoric way, like yeah. And it was a sunny day, and we were just present, and we were just present with each other, like in the moment. And it was the same image, like basically happiness is being present in this moment, and it can't get any simpler. But it seems to be that these simple things are just so difficult for us to understand. It's like, yeah, it's simple.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. I'm so happy you said that and you brought that up. And it's an amazing way to wrap this up, because is that not the truth? Happiness is presence. in the moment, here and now, being here and now, not in the mind, thinking of some imagined future or some regretted past, but living here and now with whatever is happening and accepting it, accepting the now, surrendering to it, not resisting it, not judging it, just being with it, right? Being
Yes.
present. That's that. So your dreams affirm the truth as well as, you know, how I see the insights too, and how I have come to these realizations. Different roads lead us to the same place. That's the beauty of universal truth.
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me here.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for being a part of Awakenpedia, for your wonderful contributions via Dreamwork. I know that this is just the beginning for us. So
Yes.
we'll see what's to come. All right.
It's gonna
Talk
be
soon.
exciting. Yes.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.